Chapter 1. In 1931, during the Great Depression, people around the world were starving and Australia was under pressure too. But the government came up with a plan. World War I veterans who had nothing left were given land in Western Australia and told to farm, grow wheat, and save the country. These men believed in it and put everything they had into it, thousands of acres, every dollar, every dream. The first year went well, the crops were good, and life felt normal again. But then the summer of 1932 arrived and the Outback heat reached 45 degrees, the land dried up, and water began to disappear. At the same time, the emu breeding season ended and around 20,000 emus, hungry and thirsty, started searching for food and water and found the farmer's wheat field. At first a few emus came, then more, and within a week all 20,000 were in the fields. Emus were not small birds, they stood almost 2 meters tall, weighed around 60 kilos, and could break bones with a single kick. They were not just eating the wheat, they were destroying crops, breaking fences, letting rabbits in, and wiping everything out. Farmers watched their lives fall apart, their children's future disappear, and their dignity fade away. One farmer wrote that he could see it in his wife's eyes and she knew they were losing. So the farmers wrote a letter to the government asking for urgent help. The decision. The government read the letter. And the normal solution would have been pest control or better fences. But the Minister of Defense, Sir George Pearce, had a different idea. He thought the army needed training and soldiers needed real targets. So why not solve two problems at once? The decision was made to launch a military operation. Major G.P.W. Meredith was given orders to go to Western Australia and eliminate the emus. 2 soldiers were sent with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. When newspapers found out, the press arrived with photographers and cameras. It was meant to be a show, a perfect story of the military saving the nation. On November 2, 1932, the operation began. Everyone was confident, the soldiers were trained, the weapons were powerful, and the emus were seen as just birds. Most people thought it would all be over in 2 days, but no one realized the emus had plans of their own. The first battle. On the first day in the afternoon, soldiers received a report that around 50 emus were drinking water near a dam. Major Meredith smiled and saw it as the perfect chance. The soldiers took position and set up the machine guns while the emus stood unaware about 100 meters away. When the signal was given, the guns opened fire, breaking the silence as hundreds of bullets tore through the air. After the firing stopped and the smoke cleared, the soldiers moved forward to count the bodies and found only 12 dead emus out of 50. The rest were gone. The emus were later seen standing about 200 meters away, watching the soldiers as if they understood everything. One soldier later said it felt like the birds were laughing at them. The next day the soldiers tried again using a truck with a mounted machine gun, but the emus ran faster, split into groups, and escaped in different directions. The truck could barely reach 35 kilometers per hour while the emus ran at 50. Thousands of rounds were fired with no result. After 6 days and 2,500 rounds, the soldiers were exhausted, frustrated, and embarrassed. Newspapers mocked the military. Headlines spread around the world, and on November 8th, the operation was officially cancelled, while the emus stayed in the fields and the farmers were left with nothing. Chapter 2. The story did not end there. 1 month later the government tried again because the loss was too embarrassing. By December the farmers were worse off. Much of the wheat was gone, rabbits had destroyed what was left, and pressure from the media increased. One farmer even left behind a suicide note asking how he could face his children after losing everything to birds. Sir George Pearce was under intense pressure and decided to send the military back with strict orders that failure was not acceptable. On November 12, 1932 the operation restarted under Major Meredith. This time farmers were used to herd the emus toward waiting soldiers, but when the birds charged straight toward the guns at full speed, soldiers panicked and fled. More tactics were tried. Early attacks, night ambushes, and surprise raids, but every time the emus escaped. At one dam, soldiers waited at close range only for the emus to suddenly stop, turn around, and leave without drinking. After weeks of fighting, nearly 10,000 rounds had been fired and fewer than 1,000 emus were killed while most remained alive. Newspapers mocked the government again. International media joined in, and on December 10, 1932, the operation was permanently shut down and the military withdrew. Chapter 3. Scientists later studied emus and discovered why the military failed. Emus have extremely powerful legs made mostly of muscle, producing enough force to seriously injure a human. They can run up to 50 kilometers per hour and change direction instantly, making them very hard targets. Their eyesight gives them almost full 360-degree vision, meaning surprise attacks did not work, and they communicate using deep sounds humans cannot hear, allowing them to warn each other of danger. These were not ordinary birds but a highly organized survival species. In the end, farmers lost most of their crops, many went bankrupt, and the military's reputation was damaged for decades. The government introduced a bounty system, and the following year civilians submitted 57,000 emu skins, achieving what the military could not. Emus still live across Western Australia today as a protected species. The real lesson of the Great Emu War was not that the military was weak, but that nature should never be underestimated. Because emus survived, not by luck but because they are perfectly designed survival machines. What happened in 1932 was not just a funny story. It was a reminder. No matter how powerful your weapons are, no matter how much training you have, in front of nature, you are nothing. The emus proved that, and Australia learned a lesson it would never forget. So that was the full story of the Great Emu War. Machine guns, trained soldiers, and 20,000 birds that made history. If you found this story interesting, like the video and subscribe, because on the Outback Vault you will find more stories you have never heard before. Hidden Australian history, unsolved mysteries, and strange but real events, all verified and true. In the next video, there is another story that will blow your mind. So watch, click, and step inside the vault, because history is never boring when the truth is this strange.